Okie dokie, in this problem, they say, which of the following evaluates to 5? So let's talk about some exponent rules here. So if we have 25 to the negative 1/2, 25 to the negative 1/2 would be the same thing as 1 over 25 to the 1/2, right? Using our negative exponent rules. But then 25 to the 1/2, working backwards from what we've done in previous videos, if we rewrite 1/2 as a root, it would be a square root. So 25 to the 1/2 is the same thing as the square root of 25. Typically, we don't see the 2 there, but that's pretty much what it's doing there. All right, so 1 over square root of 25 would just be 1 over 5 because the square root of 25 is 5. And so we got 1/5, and that does not evaluate to 5. So A is out of here. Number 2, or B, we have 1/25 raised to the negative 1/2. So if we have 1/25 raised to the negative 1/2, that'd be the same as 1 divided by 1/25 to the positive 1/2, okay? And then I mentioned before in another video that if you have 1 over a fraction, anytime you have 1 over a fraction, it's equivalent to the flip or reciprocal of that fraction. And so if we had 1 over 25 to the 1/2, we now have 25 over 1 also to the 1/2. You keep that exponent the same, okay? So now 25 over 1 is just 25. And it's still to the 1/2, which is still representative of a square root, which 25 over square root of 25, square root of 25 is still just 5. And so we do get 5, which evaluates to 5, which is option B. And we're done. All right, let's do a few more. Which of the following evaluates to 9? Okay, so we have 729 to the 1/3. To the 1/3 means we're taking the cube root of 729. I do not expect that. I do not expect you to know that off the top of your head, but let's give it a shot in Desmos. So I'll be honest though, I mean, you might be better off leaving it as a power of 1/3 because, you know, you might not have this fancy cube root calculator thing that Desmos has. But cube root of 729 is in fact 9. But let's say we didn't actually rewrite it. Let's just plug it in like we see it. So 729 raised to the power of 1/3. That also gives you 9. So, you know, whichever method you prefer, you could either rewrite it and simplify it by hand if possible, or you could really just plug each of these into a calculator to get your final answer. Hope that makes sense. We just showed that A is our answer here because this evaluated to 9. Let's do one more. Which of the following evaluates to 8? So I think we can do this one by hand again. 1 over 64 to the negative 1/2 is the same as, so I'm just going to do a trick here. If you're negating, or if you have a negative exponent on a fraction, you can just go ahead and flip that fraction and then write it to the positive of that exponent. And you'll see why this works out in the example we did right here. From here, we could have just jumped to this step here, where we flip the fraction, but then negate the exponent to make it positive. So that's really all we're doing right here, okay? So flip the fraction, make the exponent positive. 64 to the 1/2, so 64 over 1 is just 64. To the 1/2 means we're taking the square root of 64, which happens to be 8, which happens to be our answer, or happens to be what we're looking for here. So A is our answer. Maybe I just work out one more of these just because I feel like we got lucky on these. They all kind of worked out pretty quickly. 1 over 4,096 to the negative 1/2. Again, we have a negative exponent, so we can actually just flip this fraction here and make it to the positive 1/2, which is really just 4096 to the positive 1/2, or the square root of 4096. I think that's a nice number. I think that's a perfect square. Let's see. 4096 is 64. So that would have given us, say, 64 for this one. Anyway, I don't know if they get much harder than that. Hopefully, I guess they have like the cube roots. But again, you can just plug those into a calculator and it shouldn't be too bad. If you have any questions on these or any trouble with different versions of this problem, just let me know.